you want lectern or rove around?
I just hide.
Right, clicker?
Huh? Oh, yes.
Right, just before you start, actually, let me just introduce you. Alfie's co-founder of the mobile blogging community and technology service Moblog, an avid blogger on mobile technology and convergence, and a committed activist.
That's only meant to go to PR agencies.
When people, by the way, no. This is in case when you're speaking next time, when the person organising it says, "Can you send your bio in?" This is what happens. This was either Wikipedia or straight off your blog. So just a note for everybody. And you're responsible for the creation of the 7/7 protest site We're Not Afraid, and the charitable foundation, the Stopped Clocks Foundation. Alfie Dennen.
Indeed. Hello. Thank you. Oh, very nice of you. I think everyone who comes up here at some point does feel like a fraud, so I'm going to just belt on with it. But my name is Alfie, and I'm from Moblog. And in fact, give me that one. That one's better, I think. So yeah, I mean, everyone hates and loves mobile phones. It mostly gets really bad press. But I've been doing some stuff with mobiles and with GPS location stuff to try and create new art. And it's something that I just kind of happened upon a while ago. But ultimately, I think you can. And is it that one? There you go. So mobile phones and location technology, specifically geotagging images, does lead to art, and there's been loads of it around. GPS drawing has been around for ages. It's a cult of people who put a KML file into their TomToms and then cruise around the country drawing penises across landscapes and whatever they'd like to do. But ultimately, if you then couple that with lots and lots of people with location technology in the handsets, then you can create new art. And so that's what I've been experimenting with. I've been experimenting, it kind of partly was inspired by this hoax, I'm sure most of you remember, where this guy very expertly put together this kind of video of his GPS tracking device going through UPS and going all over the world, and then he drew this amazing self-portrait. I think The Guardian covered it at some point, but big hoax, great idea. And ultimately, perhaps if not exactly possible, lots of stuff that is possible. So I thought, well, why not use these really common, understood objects, map markers, to actually use as the kind of connect the dots thing for making pictures? Because ultimately, each of those markers, again, could just be a person, especially when you go to like really large scales. So essentially, I didn't know what to call it, geo-map drawing, pretty sucked. But I then created something for James Nachtwey, who's a Time photojournalist who won a TED Prize, to kind of highlight this thing called extensively drug-resistible tuberculosis. And all over the world, people did all sorts of things, but we created this puzzle game in London over sort of 2 square miles around Waterloo, and we went and we hid 43 objects, which were essentially images of James Nachtwey with a bunch of content on it. And people had to come to the site, solve these cryptic clues, which would take them to blogs which had the let's see if that'll play. Again? Oh no. Was it?
The Cambridgeshire Poacher.
So this was a latitude longitude hidden by Bill Thompson in a blog post about fictional number stations. So people would take this lat long and then they would go to a location where they would find an object. But what it was really about was this kind of noticing things. People don't notice things anymore, really. We kind of heads down walk. But this way, people were in like 10 square meters, like, where the fuck is this thing? So it was a lot of fun, but ultimately what we did was these markers all drew the XDRTV logo across London, and in the very center was the Department for Health. So that was the point, and it was a lot of fun, but I kind of wanted to do something bigger, which would be at least across the UK. So I tried to figure out, well, how can I do that? I don't think this would work very well. So we created something called Brickcliff, which over here you see this pocket watch, basically with a chain snaking down, and that's inspired by John Harrison's chronometer. If you don't know, that was the device which basically solved the longitudinal problem, which meant the empire, the age of empire could begin, the slave trade could start, things could kick off in a real way. And so, as a symbolic kind of reference to the modern age, I kind of thought it was pretty good. So we plotted these, and then people do a search for their postcode or for wherever they are, and we deliver the closest marker to them and give them some directions. And then they go there and they drop a rock because, olden days, you'd cart a fucking rock from Wales to Salisbury, and it was 50 tons, and it took you 10 years. But that's what we're trying to emulate here. And so, literally, in the real world, there are these big rocks all over the country at the minute. And then, of course, that turns up on the map. But overall, what we're creating is something I think quite new, which I've decided to call a digioglyph, a digital geospatial glyph. But it's been a lot of fun. So I think the next step really is we've kind of shown that this can work over a national level. So I'd kind of like to do something really big and complicated over the whole world, because mobile phones are the great connector of this kind of possibility, and all it takes is someone to take a train to Birmingham to do it. Thank you very much.